Think now what's happening. Now I'm sure that this cry from the young men is louder than it ever was before. But you sit and drink. Drink until Hecamede comes, Hecamede who's got the good braids. She will come and give you the warm bath and wipe away all of that filth with warm water. But I'm going to go to the lookout point. That's what he said, Nestor. And he took the shield that was lying in his tent. It was actually his son, Thrasymedes. He had his dad's. It was bronze and well beaten. And he took the sharp spear, the two-edged spear. And then Nestor stood outside his tent. And he saw the deadly deeds. He saw those being driven and those who were driving, the hardy Trojans. And the Achaean wall was broken. And so now Nestor was torn as to what to do. Should he go down amongst the people, the fast horse Danaans, or should he go and find Agamemnon, the son of Atreus? Now, the old man's mind, it was like when there's a surging sea, and it somehow just waits. It doesn't wave break one way or the other. Instead, it waits until a wind from Zeus comes and finally pushes it so that it crashes upon the shore. Now it seemed best to Nestor that he should go find Agamemnon, the son of Atreus. But all those others, they just kept on fighting and killing one another. And now the huge crash rose up from the bronze that was all around their skin as they stabbed each other with the swords and the two-edged spears. And the god-fed kings, they found Nestor, Tydeus' son Diomedes, and Odysseus, and Agamemnon, the son of Atreus, all those who before were wounded with the bronze and had now come back beside the ships. Now they stood here. They stood far off from the battle. This is where the ships were pulled up on the seashore, the shore of the Gray Sea. It was when they were first pulled up on the plain, and then they had built a wide wall around them. But the whole beach wasn't wide enough for all of the ships, so then they had to pull them up in rows. The people were crowded, and the entire mouth of the harbor was packed in, all between the two headlands. This is now where the kings stood and watched the battle cry and the melee, and they leaned on their spears and felt grief in their hearts. And when they saw Nestor, the son of Neleus, they were even more struck out in their heart. And it was the Lord Agamemnon who was the first to speak. Nestor, son of Neleus, great kudos of the Achaeans, why now have you left the battle where men win honor? I'm so scared that all those threats that huge Hector made to me in front of the Trojan assembly, that before we ever made it home safe from Ilion, that he would come and burn our ships, that he would kill us. I'm scared all of this is coming true. That's what he said, and it's all coming true. Oh, Popoi. Now even the Achaeans, with their nice shin guards, they have all cast anger against me into their hearts. They're like Achilles, like the son of Peleus, and they won't fight besides the ship's prows. That's what he said. And the old man, Granian horseman Nestor, answered and said, Son of Atreus, it is true. It is all happening, and it wouldn't be happening except for high thundering Zeus. He has made it happen. Now the wall has broken. The wall that we thought would protect all of our ships and all of our things. Now the Danaans, they suffer much. But come, we all have to decide what to do. We have to come up with some plan. I can't order you into the battle. You are wounded. How can a wounded man fight? That's what he said. And wide-ruling Agamemnon answered him, Nestor, so now they fight among the prows of the ships, and our wall is useless, and our ditch was useless. And the Danaans have suffered so much, and they had hoped so much in their hearts that that wall would hold, the wall around their ships and around their stuff. And I'm sure that super powerful Zeus is just loving this, loving seeing the Achaeans die far from Argos without a name. I used to know when he was, he wanted to help out the Danaans. And now all I know is that he honors these Trojans like the blessed gods. So come on, all of you now, listen to what I have to say. I think it's time that we draw back our ships that we drew out of the sea. Let's draw them back into the sea. Let's row them out over the bright water. And then we can throw out the mooring stones, and when ambrosial night comes and the Trojans stop fighting, that's when we can all row and get our boats out of here. Because there's no shame in running away when the bad shit starts. Not even at night. Personally, I would much rather run away from bad shit than get caught up in it. That's what he said. And now Odysseus glared terribly at him from underneath his brows. Son of Atreus, what have you just let come out of your mouth? I wish that you would rule over some crappier army than ours. Some army that Zeus hadn't decided to make fight stretched out wars forever, from the time that we're young until we're old, until each one of us dies. And now you think that we should draw back away from wide-walled Troy, for which we have suffered so much, for which we have cried. Oh, I wish you would shut up before some other Achaean hears what's coming out of your mouth. And what just came out? No man who understood how to speak would ever let that out of his mouth. Not any man who wielded a scepter. Not any man who ruled over as many men as you rule over the Argives. I really resent what you said. All it will do is make the Trojans, who are already powerful, even more powerful. Getting the Achaeans to draw back their ships. How are they supposed to hold the battle line when they're drawing back their ships? All they'll do is look one way or look the other. They will lose their courage, and high destruction will fall on us. That is the damage that your advice will do, leader of the people. That's what he said. And wide-ruling Agamemnon answered, Odysseus, so what you said was pretty harsh, and it's really touched me right in my heart. I mean, I don't want to order the Achaeans to pull their ships back against their will. So if anyone else has a better plan, if they're young or if they're old, doesn't matter, I'm going to be happy to hear it. And now Diomedes of the great war cry, he spoke out to all of them. That man is here. We don't even have to look for him. If you all can be persuaded and not get pissed off and freak out because he happens to be the youngest out of all of you, I brag to have an awesome father and to come from an awesome family. My dad was Tydeus. Now the black dirt covers him in Thebes. But there was a guy, Portheus, and he had 3 blameless sons in Pleuron and High Caledon, and they were Agrios and Melos and the horseman Oeneus. That was my dad's dad, and he was the most awesome of all of them. Now, Oeneus, he stayed in Pleuron, but my dad, he was driven to go live in Argos. That's what Zeus and all the other gods wanted. And there he married the eldest daughter of Adrestus, and he had a really fat, rich house, and he had lots of cows, and he had all of the gardens and all of the wheat-bearing fields and all of the orchards, and he was the most awesome of all the Achaeans with the spear. Now, if all of this is true, that I do not come from a family of cowards, people with no courage at all, then you should now honor what I have to say, especially since what I have to say is so good. Now we should all go and fight, even though we're wounded. Now I'm not saying we should really go like where all the arrows are flying. Nobody needs another wound on top of their wound. But we should stand behind and urge our men, those who are standing around, or those who don't want to fight. That's what he said. And everyone listened, and everyone obeyed. And now all of the Achaeans went rushing forward, and it was Agamemnon, the leader of men, that led them. And Poseidon, the earth shaker, he did not keep a blind eye, but right away he came and grabbed Agamemnon, the son of Atreus, by the right hand, and he made himself look like an old man. And he spoke to him, and his words flew. Son of Atreus, now Achilles must be so delighted, his destructive heart, when he sees the Achaeans slaughtered and dying. Well, let Achilles die, and let the gods maim him. But I will say that the blessed gods are not so angry with you. I think that you will see the Trojan counselors and leaders flee again, kicking up the dust. I think you yourself will see them running back to the city, away from our ships and from our tents. That's what he said. And now Poseidon, he went rushing forward, and he let out a huge cry! Louder than 9,000 or 10,000 men cry out as they lead conflict into battle. And with that cry, he put strength into the heart and the chest of each Achaean so that they would want to fight and to make battle without end. And Hera of the gold throne, she saw all this from up on Mount Olympus. Hera looked down and saw Poseidon, who was her brother and her brother-in-law, stirring up the Achaeans, and she was delighted in her heart. And then she saw Zeus up on the high peaks of Mount Ida sitting there, and she really hated him. So now Hera's heart was divided as she tried to think what would be the best way to trick the mind of aegis-bearing Zeus. And now it seemed best to her that she should get all gussied up and go down to Mount Ida and see if she could persuade Zeus to have sex with her. And then she could pour warm, soft sleep all over his eyelids and his sharp wits. So she went into her bedroom which her son, Hephaestus, had built well. And so the well-fitting gates closed with a single lock so that none of the other gods could come in. And it was through these shining gates that she walked. And now Hera, she cleaned all of the dirt off of her skin with ambrosia. And then she anointed her skin with olive oil and with ambrosia. And the scent of it just filled the whole room. And the smell wafted across the bronze floor of the house of Zeus and went all the way down from heaven to earth. Next, she worked the braids, the ambrosial hair that came from her divine head, arranging it. Then she put on the ambrosial robe that Athena had made. It was very intricate and it was completely smooth, and she fixed it at her chest with a golden pin. And then she put on the corset that fit round and had 100 tassels. Then, through each one of her beautiful, well-pierced earlobes, lobos in Greek, yes. Through each one of her earlobes, she put a beautiful earring that was 3 drops of mulberries. And then over her head, a headdress, the most fantastic kind of headdress that women wear, and it shone white like the sun. There was every grace in all of these things. Then she put the beautiful sandals on her fatty feet. And she went out of her bedroom to find Aphrodite so that she might speak to Aphrodite apart from all of the other gods. Aphrodite, would you begrudge me a favor if I asked? Would you refuse me just because you are angry that I'm supporting the Achaeans and you're for the Trojans? And Aphrodite, who loves to smile, she answered, Hera, goddess, you who are the most revered daughter of Kronos, why don't you just tell me what you're thinking? And then I think my heart will compel me to do it, if it's something I can do, if it can be done. And Hera, the lady, said, give me sex and desire, those things which you use to beat down the minds of both men and gods. Because I am going to the edges of the earth. I am going to see about Ocean, who is the genesis of all things, and our mother Tethys, who raised me in their hall since I was little, since I came from Rhea, because that was the time when Zeus put Kronos under the earth and under the barren sea. And if I could just go and see them, then maybe I could stop their strife, their conflict they've had, because it's been forever since they've gone to bed together and had sex. And maybe I could convince them with words to go back to bed together and have sex, and then I would be loved and revered in their house forever. And Aphrodite, who smiled a lot, said, oh, Hera, well, you do sleep with Zeus, and he is the best of all of us, so how could I refuse? And then Aphrodite took the harness from around her breasts. Now, this was a delicate, very intricate made harness, and in it was sex and desire and every alluring whisper, every one that overcomes the mind of even the most sensible man. And she handed it to Hera and called her by name and said, take this harness. It has all the good stuff in it. And then I promise that whatever your heart desires will not go undone. That's what she said, and Hera smiled and put the harness on against her own breasts as she smiled. And then Aphrodite, the daughter of Aegis-bearing Zeus, went home, and Hera darted down from Mount Olympus. And she went right away to Pieria, and then to lovely Hamathia, and then over the snowy high peaks of the horse-racing Thracians. And then her feet didn't even touch the ground as she came from Mount Athos and over the wavy sea until she came to Lemnos and the holy city of Thoas. And it was here that she found Sleep. Sleep, who is called Hypnos, and he is the brother of Death. And it was here that she spoke to him, and her words flew. Hypnos, you who are the Lord of men and of gods, if you ever listened to me before, why won't you listen to me again? You will have my favor forever, my gratitude. I would like for you to pour sweet sleep over the eyelids of Zeus after I have gotten him to have sex with me. And then I will give you a gift. I will give you a golden throne. It will be made by Hephaestus, who has a disability in both legs, my own son. And it will never wear out, and it will have a matching footstool so that you can always kick up your fatty feet at parties. And Sleep responded, Hera, why are you asking me to do this? You're asking me. I would easily put any other god to sleep, even the streams of ocean, but I would rather not put Zeus to sleep. I mean, not unless Zeus himself asks me to put him to sleep, because I remember the last time you asked me to put Zeus to sleep. It was on that day that you were planning terrible things for his strong son, Heracles, and I put Zeus to sleep as you persuaded the winds to come and knock him off course so that he landed in Kos and didn't have any of his companions. So then when Zeus woke up, man, was he angry, and he stormed through the house, throwing gods everywhere, and he was especially looking for me. And as he looked for me, well, if he would have caught me, he would have made me invisible as he threw me through the air into the sea. But luckily I ran away and found Night, who is the tamer of men and of gods, and she saved me. And Zeus, he respected Night, didn't want to get on her bad side, and so he stopped his anger. But now you've asked me to do another impossible thing. And Hera, the lady, answered and said, Hypnos, why are you bringing that up now? Do you really think that Zeus cares as much about helping the Trojans as he cares about his own son Heracles? Fine. I will give you the youngest one of all the Graces to marry, and you can call her your wife. And Hypnos was delighted at this and said, Well, all right then. So I need you to swear to me. I need you to swear on the river Styx that all the most terrible gods swear on, and I need you to swear on the earth and the heaven. I need you to swear to me that you are going to give me the youngest one of the gods, the Graces, Pasithea, because you know I've been crushing on her forever. That's what he said, and she swore. She swore just as he ordered, so that she stretched one hand all the way on earth that feeds many men, and one hand all the way on the shimmering sea, and she swore to all of the gods who are beneath Tartarus, those they call the Titans. So she swore, and when she had finished swearing, then the two of them left. They left Lemnos and Imbros in the city, and they flew through the air, clothed themselves in air as they went on light paths, all the way until they arrived on dry land for the first time at Lekton, the first dry land of Mount Ida, with its many springs, the mother of the beasts. And here, as they stepped, the woods through the mountains shook with each one of their steps. And it was here that Hypnos decided that he wanted to hide from the shining eyes of Zeus. So he went up a fir tree, a silver fir tree, and in fact it was the tallest fir tree that had ever grown on Mount Ida. It grew all the way through the air into the ether. And so there Hypnos went up in the highest branches, the thickest branches, and he hung out there like a songbird. The kind of songbird that the gods call Calchas and men call Camindus. And we have no idea what kind of bird this is. And Hera herself, she went up to the Gargarin peak, the peak of Mount Ida. And Zeus saw her there, and suddenly Zeus felt an incredible amount of lust that beat down the heart in his chest as he saw her. And now he spoke to her. Hera, what do you want coming down from Mount Olympus here? You don't even have your horses or your chariot with you. And the cow-eyed lady Hera answered him and said, I'm just going to the edges of the earth so that I can see Ocean, who's the genesis of all things, and Tethys. You know, I'm hoping that I can stop their conflict because, you know, they haven't gone to bed together in a long time. And maybe I could persuade them to go to bed together and have sex. I mean, they've just been so angry. And my horses, I parked on Mount Ida with many springs. They carried me here over land and over the water. But I really came here for you. I came so that you wouldn't be mad later when you found out about me going to the house of deep, flowing ocean. And now cloud-gathering Zeus answered and said, Hera, why don't you go there later? Now I think we gotta go to bed and have sex. Because I have never felt this kind of lust, the kind of lust that has taken me now, not for any goddess, not for any woman. I didn't feel this much lust when I slept with Ixion's daughter, and she bore me Perithous, and he was like a god in terms of counsel. I didn't feel this much lust. Oh, even when I slept with Danae, and she had such gorgeous ankles. And she was the daughter of Ascurios. And she bore me Perseus, and he was the most famous of all the gods. Men, I didn't feel this much lust. Even when I slept with Phoenix's daughter. And she bore me Minos, and Radamantheos was like, I didn't feel this much lust. Even when I was in Thebes and I had sex with Semele and Alcmene. And one gave birth to my super strong son Heracles, and the other one to Dionysus, who gives pleasure to mortals. I didn't feel this much lust. Even when I had sex with Demeter, and she's got those good braids. I didn't feel this much lust even when I saw and had sex with Leto. I didn't even feel this much lust when I had sex with you. As much lust as I feel right now. And it's just all the sweet desire that seizes me. And the cow-eyed lady Hera answered, you most shameful son of Kronos. You want to have sex here on Mount Ida on the highest peak where everyone can see us? And then the gods, they'll go tell the other gods, and then they'll resent me. And then how am I supposed to get up out of your bed and go home after that? No, I mean, if you really want to, we should go back to my bedroom that Hephaestus built. It has really great doors. They fit really well together, and we can go there to my bedroom. And cloud-gathering Zeus answered her and said, Hera, you don't need to worry about any man or any god seeing us. I'm going to wrap us up in a golden cloud. And then, not even Helios, not even the sun, who has the clearest sight and can see through anything, not even he's going to see us. That's what he said, and he took his wife in his arms, and they lay down, and beneath them fresh grass grew, and dewy clover, and crocuses, and hyacinth, everything so thick and so lush that they could hardly feel the ground beneath them. And Zeus wrapped them in a golden cloud, and shimmering dew fell from it. And then when he was broken with sex and with sleep, then Zeus fell into a warm and gentle slumber. And that's when Hypnos went straight down to Poseidon, the earth-encircling earth shaker, and standing close to him, his words flew, and he said, Poseidon, you know, now you can really, really defend the Danaans. I mean, give them all the kudos, at least for a little while, because now Zeus is sleeping. I put him in a sweet coma. And you know, Hera tricked him into having sex with her. That's what he said, and Hypnos went through the famous races of men, but Poseidon right away now turned to the front lines of the Argives, and he cried out to them, Argives! What's this then? Now you're just going to give up all the kudos and the victory to Hector, the son of Priam? Come on. So that he can get the glory? Yeah. Now he thinks that because Achilles, the son of Peleus, is sitting by his hollow ships, that he can do whatever he wants. But do we really miss Achilles that much? No! We have many hands here that can defend one another with. So now come, as many men have awesome shields, as many as have the brazen helmets, as many as have the huge spears. Let's go! And I myself will lead you. And I say that I don't care how much Hector wants it. He will not stand fast against me. And another thing, if you're an awesome fighter whose battle lust is steadfast, but you've got a crappy shield, well, give that crappy shield to a crappier fighter. And vice versa, okay? That's what he said. And now they all got in order, and it was the wounded kings, the god-fed kings who were wounded by the bronze before that were leading them, the son of Tydeus, Diomedes, and Agamemnon, the son of Atreus, and Odysseus, and they all geared themselves up in their flashing bronze, and those who were awesome put on awesome armor, and those who were crappy put on crappy armor. And it was Poseidon himself, the earth shaker, who now led them. He had his terrible sword in his huge hand like a lightning bolt as he went, and no one in their right mind would have mixed with him in battle. And fear took over all the men. And on the other side, shining Hector led the Trojans. So that now the battle was stretched out between dark-haired Poseidon and shining Hector, one helping the Trojans, one helping the Argives, and the waves kept crashing along the ships and the tents of the Achaeans. And now the huge battle cry arose. It was louder than when the waves driven by the north wind crash on the beach. It was louder than the bellowing of the forest fire that eats through the glens of the mountains and devours all the woods. It was louder than the most terrible sound when the wind goes screaming through the trees' foliage. That's how loud it was. The sound that came up from the Trojans and the Argives now with their battle cries as they rushed against one another. And it was shining Hector who threw first at Ajax, Telamonian Ajax. He threw and hit Ajax right in the chest, but unfortunately it was exactly where two straps crossed his chest, one of his broad shield, one of his silver-studded sword, so that Hector, so angry that his spear cast had been in vain, darts back into the crowd of his buddies trying to avoid dark death, but as he's going, Ajax hits him with a rock. Now, it's one of these huge boat-holding rocks that just happens to be rolling around at the feet of the fighters. And Ajax throws it at him, and it hits right at the edge of his chest and his neck. And it sends him staggering backwards. Hector now spinning like a top. He runs in circles. Now it's like he's been struck by lightning, like when Zeus strikes an oak tree with lightning and the terrible burning smell that comes from it, and nobody who even has the biggest bravery ever can look on it because Zeus's thunder is so terrible. That's how Hector was now struck, and the spear fell out of his hand, and his shield fell down on him, and the helmet fell off of his head, and all of his armor clattered all around him. And when the sons of the Achaeans saw Hector fall right away, they run forward with their spears and with their swords trying to get him, but they cannot pierce his delicate skin. No, because the best of the Trojans are there first. There's Polydamas, and there is Aeneas, and there's blameless Agenor, and there's Sarpedon, the leader of the Lycians, and there's Glaucus, blameless Glaucus, all of them now. And there's not a single man now on the Trojan side that doesn't care about Hector. All of them come and they put their shields around his shoulders and they protect him. And his friends get him out with their hands, carrying him out of the work and the battle. And they put him on a chariot and take him, groaning heavily, back towards the city. And when they get to a place that's a ford in the river, in the eddying Xanthos, which is Zeus's son, by the way, as a river, then they take him out of the chariot and they lay him on the ground and they pour water on his face. And Hector breathes again. And he looks up at the sky, and he manages to prop himself up on one knee. And then he starts puking black blood. And he falls backwards in the dust again, and dark night covers his eyes. So now the Argives, having seen Hector go, now they remember their battle lust. And it is the other Ajax, Oilean Ajax, the fast one. He first gets Satnios. Now, he's the son of Phorbas, who has a lot of sheep. And Phorbas had sex with a river nymph on the banks of the river Satnios. Hence, Satnios. Now, Oilean Ajax hit him right in the soft parts so that he fell backwards. And Ajax came and boasts over the body. I don't know. It's polygamous. Okay, he doesn't boast over the body. Sorry. He falls backwards. Satnios is down. Okay, now the Trojans and the Argives lead the hateful battle all around the body of Satnios, and it's Polydamas who comes forward now as a protector. Now he kills Prothoenor. Who is the son of Areilycus. He hits him with a heavy spear through the right shoulder, and he falls. Oh no, I'm losing it. I'm not losing it. Okay. And he hits the earth, and he grabs the ground with both of his hands, and now it's Polydamas, who's the son of Panthuus, who stands over him and brags.
Yeah.
It's here.
That's right.
Okay. Ah, back on track. The son of Panthuus did not throw in vain, because one of the Argives caught my spear, and he's going to have a good walking stick when he goes through the gates of Hades. That's what he said. And now great grief took over all of the Argives, and it was Ajax, Telamonian Ajax in particular, that felt it in his heart. And so now he went rushing at Polydamas, trying to hit him, but Polydamas darted out of the way. So instead, he hit Archilochus. Archilochus, who was one of the sons of Antenor. The gods wanted him to die. He hit him right where the head joins the neck, at the upper vertebrae, so that the spear went straight through, cutting through both tendons, and it meant that his nose and his mouth hit the dust long before his shins and his knees did. And now Ajax came yelling over at Polydamas. Hey, Polydamas, what do you think about that? You think that's a fair trade? That guy, for whoever this is? Because I do not think that this man is from a weak family or a weak father. I think he might be Antenor's son or Antenor's brother. I don't know. He looks just like Antenor. That's what he said. And now the Trojans recognized him, and they felt great grief. And it was Acamas, another son of Antenor, that he came rushing over, and he killed the Boeotian man Promachus. And then, as Promachus fell, Acamas boasted over his body. Well, Promachus, you stupid Argives. You think that we're the only ones who have pain, who have work? You think that you're the only ones who can kill us? Look at Promachus. Look how well he sleeps, beaten down by my spear. My brother did not go unavenged for long. All we can hope for is to leave someone behind when we die that will avenge us once we're dead. That's what he said. And now the Achaeans. Yes, okay, good. Now the Achaeans felt great grief, and it was Peneleus that came rushing forward. Peneleus came rushing at Achamas, but Achamas couldn't stand against Peneleus. So instead, Peneleus, he now hit Ilioneus. Ilioneus, he was the son of Phorbas and had many sheep, and Hermes really loved him and gave him a lot of stuff. But Ilioneus, he was the only child that they had. And now Peneleus' spear caught him just under the eyebrow, over the eye ridge, straight through the eye socket, so that it came out the back through the occipital bone. And then as Ilioneus kind of sat back, falling, with his hands flying up, then Peneleus took out his silver-studded sword and hacked at the middle of his neck so that his head came off clean, still stuck on his spear. He held the spear up with the head on it so that it looked like a poppy head. And now he spoke to all the Trojans. Trojans! Now it looks like Ilioneus' parents won't get to lament for him at home, just like Promachus' wife. Promachus, who is the son of Eleganor, Promachus' wife now will never celebrate when he comes home, when all of us young men come home from Troy. That's what he said, and now they all start to shake in their limbs, all of the Trojans, and they started to run. What? Oh my God. Tell me, muses, you who have your homes up on Mount Olympus, who now was the first of the Achaeans to strip the bloody spoils? First, Telamonian Ajax, he killed Gertius, who was the son of Hirtius. It's the other way around. He was the leader of the strong-hearted Mysians. Then it was Antilochus, he killed Phalces and Murmurus. Then it was Meriones, he killed Morus and Hippotion. Then it was Teucros, he killed Prothoon and Periphates. Then it was Meriones, the son of Atreus. He killed Hyperenor, who was the shepherd of the people. He hit him in the soft part with a spear, and all of his guts came out through the bronze. But nobody killed as many as fast Oilean Ajax. Nobody could match him for his speed on his feet as he chased men down as they ran away, and it was always Zeus who made men run away. Now the Trojans, they ran through the stakes in the ditch. They ran for their lives, and many of them were beaten down by the Danaans, but many of them, they made it back towards their chariots, although the green fear held them still from having run away. And it was now that cloud-gathering Zeus woke up, and he saw those being driven and those driving, the Argives, and Poseidon who was leading them. And he saw Hector lying in the field with all of his friends around him, and he was still having trouble breathing, and he was puking up black blood. And now Zeus looked terribly at Hera, gazing from underneath his eyebrows, and said, Hera, you evil, scheming, your trick now has stopped Hector from fighting and scared his people. And you know, the only prize that you will get for this mischief is pain when I whip you with my lash. Don't you remember before when I had to hang you? When I had to hang you with meteor stones hanging from your feet and gold unbreakable bonds around your wrists. You hung there in the sky, in the clouds, and all the other gods felt so much wrath at me because they wanted to let you go, but any one of them knew that they couldn't. Any one of them who tried, I would throw from the divine threshold, and he would land on earth much weaker for it. All that pain that I had from that time when you tried to mess with my strong son Heracles, when you got the winds to blow him off course to Kos, and I had to go down there and save him myself. Take him back to horse pasturing Argos, even though he had gone through so many labors. And I remind you of this so that you will stop lying to me, so that you will know how useless your sex and your bed are, those that you convinced me to have sex with you apart from all the other gods. And the cow-eyed lady Hera answered and was like, I swear by wide earth and by all the streams of the ocean, I swear by the river Styx that all of the gods swear by, I swear by your divine head, I swear by our marriage bed, I swear that it was only Poseidon who was wanting to bring pain to the Trojans and to Hector and to help the Argives. It was only his heart that compelled him because he felt pity for the Argives who were being worn out. And I myself would have advised him to listen to you and to not do this, O Black Cloud leader. And cloud-gathering Zeus answered her and said, Hera, if you and I are actually on the same page, then it's Poseidon who, as soon as he goes astray, will have to come back quickly to get on our page of all the seated gods. If you have told me all this true, if you really mean it, well then you can go to Mount Olympus, and you can call Iris here, and call Phoebus Apollo, because we'll send Iris down amongst all the Argives so that she can stand next to Poseidon and tell him to stop fighting and to go home. And then Phoebus Apollo, he can go and catch Hector and make him breathe again. Breathe battle fury back into him. Make him forget those pains that have now worn him out so that once again he can drive the Trojans forward and fight back against the Argives. And those Argives, as they run away, they will fall on the ship of Achilles, the son of Peleus. And then Achilles, the son of Peleus, he will get his companion Patroclus to go out. And then shining Hector, he will kill Patroclus, after Patroclus has killed many men in front of Ilion, including my own dear son Sarpedon. And then Achilles, so angry over Patroclus' death, he will kill Hector. And it is from that point on. From that point, the Argives will never again fight by their ships, not again until they sack all of Ilion. And I will not let my anger go, nor will I let any of the other gods help the Danaans until I finish my favor to Achilles, the son of Peleus, that which I first promised to give honor to Achilles, when Thetis came and threw her arms around my knees and begged me to honor Achilles, the city sacker. everyone for coming. We want to thank Bar Depend and Colin, our bartender tonight. Let's thank Alex for many saves.